Well, what's your first step in writing a screenplay? What do you do, whether it's Emmett's character or
I have to, it's the hard way. I have to be moved. You know, I can't just, I'm not a writer per se. You know, I can't, you can't hire me as a writer. It would be hard for me because I know Emmett so well. And then things happen in the news or to me and I go, wow, this is a great Emmett story right here. I lived in my car for a year. I mean, this is years ago when I was much younger, but I was homeless for a year. And Emmett is homeless. I also was a biker for a long time, you know, crashed and all that stuff that bikers do. So I know about motorcycles, and he's done Coyote on a motorcycle, basically. That's the film. That's what the film is about. And so, but I know about it. You know, if you ask me to write about hijacking Somalia, you know, hijacking boats and stuff, I would have to do a lot of research and reading. But you know, all my life has been kind of research for Emmett. You know, he's very familiar to me. And so I write what comes up. Right now, what I'm doing is trying to learn pitching and raise money for the feature or for a TV series. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm learning how to do that. How do you raise money? Pitching is one way. You pitch to the studios. I'm going to have to pitch to my uncle, you know, later. And so that's what I'm learning here. So, you know, and then I'll pitch to my sister, and you know, it's a process.
Going back to that year that you lived in your car,
Mm-hmm.
what humor could you bring to that?
Oh man, are you kidding? Where do you go to the bathroom? You know, where do you take a shower? You know, you start the friends and the friends' wives. You know, why is he coming here all the time? Can he take a shower somewhere else? And you hear these conversations, you know, in the next room, you know, and you say, okay, well, I've worn out my invitation here. You know, what McDonald's will let you use their bathroom? How do you get phone messages? You know, where do you park at night when you're living in your car? When you leave your car and you come back at night, your battery is gone. There's, I mean, a lot of adventures, you know. And I watch Charlie Chaplin, and I go, yeah, that guy was, I don't know if he was homeless, but he was poor. That guy was poor. Why? There's just a sense of that guy knows more about being a homeless guy, about trying to get a job than normal, because he was there and he did it. So there's a voice, there's a truth to living it. And if you can live it and tell about it, it's generally, the worst turns to laughter. That's Shakespeare. That's true. I mean, the worst things that happened to me are now funny, but they weren't when I was going through it. You know, I mean, you come back to your car and your guitar is stolen. That's like a tragedy, man. Where you going to get another? That's my guitar. It keeps me calm. You know, it's just, your battery is gone. How am I going to move the car? I got to get it to the other side of the street on Thursdays. I mean, that stuff becomes funny in telling about it. But when you tell about it, people know that you did it. You know, you were there. And that's why I like Emmett so much. I can plug a lot I've developed a character that's a receptacle for Larry. You know, he's got his own life too, Emmett. I mean, sometimes he says stuff that breaks me up. Like he was talking about begging, and he said, my silent partner is the church. The church's job is to instill guilt. My job is to leverage it. That's the life of he's a beggar. You know, Emmett said that. I didn't. You know, it's funny when you're right. It's the character also adds his 2 cents.
So you've already written this screenplay?
Yeah.
Okay. How was it when you first started, like the first 7 days? I know you'd had Emmett in your mind for years, versus the last week of finishing that screenplay.
It's all the same to me. It's just different stages, but it's all writing. It's just you write differently. The first way you do it, to me, is I just write. It's really funny, but very common, I guess, to psychologists. you know, your subconscious keeps track. Your subconscious is like, I read in a book, that your subconscious is like the keel. You don't see it. It's underneath the water, but it keeps you steady. You know, that's what keeps the sail from, it's the keel, that the pressure. So the subconscious, so I start to just write stuff down, anything that occurs to me. You know, maybe my car gets stolen. I'll just write anything I know about cars being stolen or stealing or cars, or just write a whole list. And other writers do this too. I mean, this is not unique to me. But you just keep writing as the ideas flow until you finally go, I don't want to write, I don't want to do this anymore. And I put it away and then I read it. And as you start to read it, you see, there's a, holy cow, there's a theme here. Certain ideas in different forms, either car or stealing or guitar, or there's a theme, and so you follow the theme. In other words, now the writing tells you what to write. Oh, this is what my subconscious is really talking about when I'm, what I think is just blathering on a piece of page, you know. So you just follow that. So that's the next stage. You just follow what the writing is telling you, and then you explore that. Then you read that. At least that's what I do. And it starts to become into a solid, and then you try to look, what's the substructure of the story, because now facts that are related become a story that one person tells. I mean, it may have started with divergent people, but and then it all smushes into Emmett, and he's on this trip, and then I put him on a road or something, or I put him in a house, and then so the story comes, but how I write is different in each stage, so I keep interested. I don't just work on one kind of thing for 3 months, you know. And sometimes I'll just put it in a drawer and walk away, you know. And this pitch, rehearsing for this, you know, I got a little hand camera, you know, and so I would pitch to the camera, and then I would listen to it. Maybe I'd type it out, see what I remembered from the pitch, do it again. And I was learning how to pitch. Okay, you know, these points are important and you want to remember this. But I was learning about the story. I was saying, wow, man, I've told myself this story that the screenplay is that I'm trying to get 96 pages into 5 minutes or 4 minutes. But I'm learning more about the story. So when I go home, and the couple of people said, okay, send me the screenplay. I'm going to change it a little because I've told the story so many times, rehearsing for this, that I saw, wow, the story is actually a lot sharper and tighter now. So I can go home and edit. So it's a process. It's always a process, you know. It's like some painters never finish painting. You know, the artist Rawalt, he would sell you a painting, and then 5 years later, he'd knock on your door and he'd say, can I have the painting back? I want to change the red. I mean, the painting was never finished. You know, you had to agree to that when you bought the painting. I may come back in 5 years. I mean, okay.
Does Emmett ever get a steady roof over his head?
Yeah, that's the TV version. There's a TV version where he's a homeless character like Charlie Chaplin, where he has a neighborhood, Venice Beach. So I took the motorcycle away from him. He's got this funky old motorcycle with a sidecar. I took the motorcycle away from him, and I just wanted to nail him down for the sitcom. It's a one camera. But that was about to, I guess, other people. You know, you want to make it cheap and keep them in one place. So yeah, he became homeless when I took the motorcycle away, and I put him on a bicycle. So but now he saves people like Chaplin did, or like, basically it's Louis C.K. without the 2 daughters in the apartment. You know, he just takes care of things. He takes care of people. If you got your shoes stolen, he'll find them. If somebody breaks into your store, he'll beat up the guy if there's a bully. Like Chaplin, where he saves the girl, and he's looking for, you know, love and a place to stay. The difference is that what he's looking for is a home and somebody to love or care for, but he also finds out that he functions best as an outsider. And that's a kind of a tension, which I think Chaplin had. He wouldn't keep a job for long.
What's interesting about that outsider? Why do you relate to that?
You can function, because that came from a discussion I had with the director a long time ago when I was doing the Emmett show. I have a show, and so I was talking to the director, and he said, why is Emmett homeless? And I said, I don't know, why is Charlie Chaplin homeless? And he said, well, you tell me, why is Charlie Chaplin homeless? And we both came to the conclusion that, wow, he wants to be homeless. He functions best. There's a certain freedom. And, I mean, like even in a marriage, a lot of people are freer in the marriage because, I don't know, they belong. Emmett is a survivor. He functions as a survivor. He's like an alley cat or like a cockroach. I mean, that's what they do, you know. Some things are best left wild, you know. They function best that way.